like you lost another one.
All right. Abdul Kul Bazoum Taflatat Wadana Bet Mahu Hadus Aishu in the color. Aduki Fiena Aishu Shukalu Woko Aishu Kalu. Na Atakuna Fikalu. Aduki Paragun Shukalu. Wa Kalu Kalu Feragun Shuni. Aduki Wahid Kakalu. Wa Kalu Kalu Wahid Mani. Luk Aikilu. Anju. Kama Feragun Shukalu Wa Hukama Feridu. Luk Aikilu Ahwenu Kudik Luka Fizikalu. Kama tabu kama kafadhi kalulia amidu fikalu aduki kaba hawa kalu kaluna niki kalu yaku niki kalu babu nikami kalu nfin. Begin all prayers, thinkies and deeds with who? Divine love and all. I am in the love of all and all of us. We are all in all. I am a part of all and all is a part of me. I am one with all and all is one with me. I could succeed as a part of all and fail as an individual. I can be all I wish and all as long as my wish is to stay in all. I am never alone. All this I am. All can I can. All this I do.
All right, so let's get back on track. 144, it speaks about those qualities ascribed to the vampires. Let's take a close look at this word vampire, V-empires. So what do you get? Vulcan Empire. 145, the male species of gargoyles are called Valkyria, right? Valkyria. That's funny because that's the name of the female warriors in the Thor movies, but that's another story. And they have the ability to fly. They nurture the eggs, and the females just they nurture the eggs, and the females just lays them. These beings are also known as the dragon race, right? So go back at 146, I think it's mentioned like the males nurture the eggs, but the females just lays them, right? So let's move on. 147, these beings are also known as the dragon race. And the symbology usually includes the winged serpent. So every time you go to a church, you see those old Catholic Gregorian churches with the gargoyles standing humped over outside the church. They use those as symbols of protection, letting you know that the early man used to look toward these reptilians for either protection or worship. So when you see those disagreeable beings on the church, it's like, yo, what these demons doing on the church? And the priest would say, oh, they're protecting the church. I said, oh, so y'all use demons? As a kid, I got in trouble. Like, sit down, young man. I'm like, y'all got demons on the church? So the demons are protecting the church. How come the demons don't protect me? I used to ask questions like that. But giving reference to these gargoyles being used throughout religion, that's a species of Meldekians family. So let's read on. 148, there are elements of their species which do not have wings, called the soldier class. These are the scientists. 149, there are many different breeds of draconians, just as there are many different breeds of humans. The draconian women loved Enlil because he was bringing down groups of Anunnaki men to Key, which gave them an opportunity to copulate with them. So, pause right here. The female draconians like Enlil. The bros didn't. They was rocking with Inky. Right, the females, they was like, yo, he bringing down these tall, dark, and handsome Anunnaki. These boys 9 and 12 feet tall. Yeah, we like them. So, and they was bringing them boys down. And he made a certain bond with certain species of these groups of draconians. The leader amongst the draconians, C. Dehis, felt that if they, let's read on down, family. Keep in mind, that's Ed's father. So this is Inky's granddad, this C.D. Hiss. That's Enlil, son of Anu and Antum, right? If they mix their seed with other beings, then they would be included in the Interplanetary Confederation. So, once again, Anu used a chess political move to marry the daughter of the president of these Draconians that was on Earth. And as a chess move in response, Sidihis, which is Ed's dad, when Enlil was coming down, he was bringing all these men with him, these Anunnaki men. He was like, sisters, why don't y'all go ahead and marry some of these brothers, man? They're going to include us in the Federation. This is going to be a treaty with us. We're going to get a seat at the table at the UN. So he was using it for a chess move too, right? On both sides of it. Kind of makes you think, right? So let's read on here. 152. However, whatever decision Enlil made, Enki disagreed with. This caused chaos on Ki. However, the Dimuds, Enki and Ninamir's Enlil's disagreement, beginning with Antum, right? That was the wife and half sister of Anu, gave her highest servant Ed to her husband, Anu, to bear him a child. Right? So this is when the beef started between the brothers. They go back to their mamas, right? When Anu had to marry Ed to get this treaty to mine his gold, he was already married. So it was like, okay, his wife allowed the second wife to be with Anu to have a child, to close the deal on this treaty. But, she didn't like that. It's the same story with Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar, right? When Hagar was brought into the fold of Abraham's house because, Sarah couldn't have no kids, then he was like, okay, well, she have a kid with her. And he ended up having a kid with her. He had Ishmael with Hagar, and that created the animosity between Sarah and Hagar. Eventually, Sarah convinced Abraham to kick Hagar and Ishmael out the crib, out the house, and he did. So it's kind of giving you reference to this story coming from this original story, which was really the two wives of Anu, Antum, and Ed, and that's how they beef started with the brothers. It was like, man, my mama don't like your mama. You know what I'm saying? It was that type of vibe, way back in the day, right? So 154, Antum gave Ed to Anu because she could not beget children. There it is. 155, Ed and Anu had a son named Nidimu, later to be called Enki, who was the firstborn son of Anu. Now peep that out. Pause right here. Enki is the firstborn of Anu. That means that Enki get handed down everything from Anu, from father to son. Well, Enlil is the second son of Anu. But Enlil uses that he's a full-blooded Anunnaki against Enki to delegitimize Enki. So this also added to the beef of the two brothers. Enki is the oldest. He's the first one. And then Enlil is the second son. And so he's like, I'm full-blooded. I deserve this seat. I deserve everything dad gonna get at me. This created this original beef family. This is like everyday stuff. This is how you know they was us. This is how you know they was straight Melanites, because this is stuff that we do to this day. You're like, you ain't my mama, you ain't my daddy. I'm your stepdaddy. That type of vibe. Okay, so this is 175, chapter 2. This is the slaves. This is the Holy Tablet, House of Who, class and discussion, family. Looks like we are at page 175 right now, and we're going to summarize it up. We've got a few moments left here, so we're going to go into this page real heavy like. So 155, Ed and Anu had a son named Nidimu, later to be called Enki, who was the firstborn son of Anu. A messenger came to Anu to tell him and Antum would bear a child whose name would be Nunamnir, later to be called Enlil. Right? Antum had given birth to Enlil, and after some time, Antum became jealous of Ed's relationship with Anu. So she asked Anu, here we go, family, we just talked about this, to put Ed and her child out. So you can tell from the story of the Sumerians, right, when they talk about Abraham, because Abraham was a Sumerian. That's where he came from, right? That story is an overlap or a copy or a clone of this translation of the slaves from the tablets. So they're letting you know. 158, Anu complied and sent Ed and Enki to Eridu, referred to as the desert, home away from home. Sent them to Earth. And the Anunnaki call it, oh, that's the desert down there. Ed went to live with her people in the underground tunnels of Earth, right? This made Enki angry, even though he sent Ed back to the crib where she came from. He just sent her home. This made Enki mad at his father for doing that, like choosing one over the other, you know? So you can kind of understand that. 159, by Nibirian rules of succession, here we go. This is the politics of it, family. By Nibirian rules of succession, Enlil became the legal heir instead of Enki, right? So Inky believed that Enlil stole his birthright. This is that same, Jacob and Esau story, right? When all had arrived at Key, Enlil had meetings with the Anunnaki to break into tribes and spread out to 7 different cities: Tilmun, Salam, Mu, Lumeria, Kodesh, Nefur, Ashkelon, which is a Kabulon. However, Kalkal and Nusku would no longer take the blasphemy of Nidimu, who named a city after himself, Nud, Nod, and welcomed all sorts of outside beings who had come to the planet Earth, who wandered in and out. He called them aliens, and he set up laws and borders with restrictions, creating the first immigration laws. So this is that land of Nod we were talking about earlier, right? Nud, Nod, right? 163. He gave many cookbooks. He gave sermons that were supposed to be a great morale builder to prepare the Anunnaki for this new frontier. So Inky knew how to speak, family, right? However, Inky did not contrary and many were weak. Inky did not contrary, and many were weak that had listened to him. And they never did this kind of hard work before. Mining was a new thing to them. All right, so here we go. He was talking to them, trying to build them around. Man, y'all get out there and mine this gold, family. We gotta get this gold. He's trying to hype them up like a football coach. But they were looking at Inky like, man, we ain't never did no work like this before, family. We scientists, right? So many left families behind on Risk and other planets where families were. So Inky sounded very impressive. And also because Enlil was not present to speak on behalf of his father's rule, Inky, utilized the migration of Anakites, right? Those were some of those giants who were the giants in the earth, as well as warriors. Inky made them his Lugals, warlords, and head of his own police department. So Inky was coming down, setting up cities. He was inviting everybody that was visiting the earth. Hey, you gonna come to my city? You gotta have a passport. You gotta have an identification. He was really setting up his own situation, right? And people starting to kind of look at it like that. And then some of the other Anunnaki, it mentioned Nusku, that's Gabriel, and Kalkal. They was kind of looking at Inky like, yo, why you talking so bad about Enlil for? Why you talking so bad about you upset with your dad because he kicked you and your mom out, right? They was kind of looking at him like, whoa, bro, you going a little bit too far. You turn it up too much. But in Inky's mind, he's like, bro, my dad kicked me out the house. Kicked my mom out the house. You know what I'm saying? I came down here to do this gold mission. I got love for my family. I got off the path a little bit. He arrested me. You know what I'm saying? Inky was on a different mindset at that time, family, right? However, this is 165. Many left families behind on Risk, right? So when Risk was destroyed, some people were on Risk, but then they started locating in other places. That's why it says they were on other planets as well with their families. 166. He utilized the migration of the Anakites, these giants, and he used them as the police, these warlords. So Inky already knew what he was doing. He was taking some of the biggest, baddest cherubims that fell down here, and he was making them dudes the security guards of the city, right? So 167, right? This police department even harassed Nusku and Kalkal. So they got pulled over by Inky's popos as well. They got profiled. 169, those who followed Inky, who was surrendering himself to Hindu deities called Leviathan. So this is when Inky was turning up too much, family, right? And surrendering to their customs and traditions, and even went as far as to raise the grotesque Ishtar, also called Inanna, to a supreme deity called Sin, right? And you notice that Singh, that's still Ishtar's name. So that's what a lot of the Hindu religion, they have a lot of names with the word Sin in it, right? Because of their culture and who that was to them. So Inky was turning up too much, family. He came down to Earth, and he was brought back to the Nibiru, and then, because of his mom's relationship, with Enlil's mom, they got kicked off from the Nibiru. They got put back on the planet. But because Inky and his mom were royalty, Inky was taken care of down here. His people was down here, right? Enlil didn't like that. So Inky was allowed to set up that city because he was from here, and he invited everybody down. It was like Vegas. The land of Nile was like a galactic space Vegas, where beings came from all over the place, and they would actually turn up the same way human beings do in Las Vegas, right? So they were doing that, and the rest of the elders was watching this, and they was like, "Yo, Inky, You already messed up with the goal because you didn't get the goal. Now you coming down here disrespecting and building your own city and giving yourself praise. This is how the other Anunnaki was looking at it. Let's scroll down a little bit further, family. This is 175. You can go down to 176. I think there's a diagram on 176. That looks like one of the Anunnaki. That is Kau right there, ruler of the lower class. Keep in mind the Anunnaki, man, they had hierarchy, they had structure, they had government, they had, a military.
Or can I make a statement?
Absolutely, family.
This right now what you read, like it's like taking me back to the conversation we had last night from the stool that was being written out, read from, and it's like, hold on, let me get it right. It's like where the master teacher was saying, like the Anunnaki are so like us as with Sites, or I can't remember exactly the term that he used when he was describing the human. Like we are so close. Like he was like have compassion for real when he was like speaking. Well, I guess he was speaking to the Anunnaki about us. He was like have compassion because you don't even realize how similar we are, how close we are to the way we are to the angels. And I'm looking at this and what's being written. I'm like, wow, bro, like Anu went through this. Like, man, that's like every brother in the went through with the women.
Thank you, man.
Man, just go ahead. Let me go ahead and get y'all the sky. And you had the earth.
Yes.
Y'all, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, this is like, wow.
Yes, they putting Anu through everything but child support, man. They just it's
Man,
hatred.
bruh,
The women is hating on each other, causing beef. The kids, the brothers is beefing. Oh, you a half breed. I'm a whole breed. It's the same stuff that we go through every day, man. That's why we said created in the image and after the likeness. Man, we just like them niggas, man. No disrespect. No disrespect. We just like them. We just like them. And you start to see that.
Abraham in the back laughing.
I'm sorry, Shannon. No disrespect.
Child support.
I'm just saying, man. You seeing
If they could, they would.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, it's like you see the wife and the other wife, and that's baby mama drama right here, and it's Sally with Anu and kids fighting. I'm like, man, so that's how the brothers really started getting into it. It started with their moms.
Apparently, the gods love women, right?
It's obvious.
So it's kind of scratching your head on those who be hating women, right? Who are you? What kind of species you coming from?
Okay, let's see here. All right, we at 177. Let's go in, fam. We got a few minutes left here. 171. This is tablet 2, tablet 171. Once Nusku and Kau could no longer take the things that Inky was doing, they moved on, ship after ship, until they found open plains in the Sinai Peninsula. So they were just getting away from your boy, right? They didn't want to have nothing to do with him. 172. There they landed and proceeded further north to set up 7 cities. They were called Timun, Salam, Mu, Lumeria, Kodesh, Nippur or Nufur, the second city, and then Ashkelon or Kabalon. Right? The city Nippur was also called Nibruki, and it was ruled by Enlil. It was the most important city considered the navel of the planet Earth. This is where he built the Durga, sacred chamber, where he kept the tablets of all, the Akasha records, and the Duranki, the bond of heaven and earth. Right now we know about these Akasha records, tablets of all. Later down the line, those tablets got stolen, right, by Zuin, right? Those tablets there, 175, right? The Duranki was a communication satellite station built to be used as a bond between the Anunnaki living on the planet Key Earth and those that man the craft, Nibiru, the Igigi. So it was kind of like a communication station between Earth and Nibiru. He also built a place called Larsa, meaning seeing the red light, to keep close relationship between the Anunnaki and the Igigi, right? I think they call this, in the world of Google, they call this the black satellite. I think it hovers between us and Saturn. And they've been watching this thing for years. NASA's been watching it. The government's been watching it. There's some footage of it on YouTube, family. This black satellite that's believed to be controlled by Enlil, and right here in the tablets is breaking it down that Enlil did have some jurisdiction over that at one point in time, as a way to watch over the people that were on the planet, as opposed to the Igigi that were in the ships. So it was a way for them to kind of spy on the Earth people. Right, 177. The Igigi are the beings that stayed in the skies and manned the crafts, the Biru, when the Anunnaki came down to Earth. Right. The word Igigi means those who stayed in the skies, right? And the Sumerians translated as those who see and observe, right? That's self-explanatory. If these boys is up there on the ships looking down with the technology to see us, they just observing us, right? That's the always feeling like you watch feeling, so to speak. 178, right? This word Igigi, those who stayed in the skies, and the Sumerians translated as those who see and observe, called the Watchers. That's what I wanted to get to and repeat that for the Watchers. 179, the Igigi remained in constant orbit around the planet Tiamat, Earth, acting as intermediaries between Earth and the Biru. So these are the ones that kind of communicate from the Earthlings to the Biru, right? That's their position. Any questions, any comments, any concerns, family? Because he's going in on it right now. 177. So now we have two separate societies of the Anunnaki on Tiamat, planet Earth. The Democrats, who have become Tafu Boot, agreeable, and the Republicans, who have become Ra'abut, disagreeable, and live in the sea of 7 cities: Sapar, Kish, Kutha, Shurapak, Uruk. Now keep in mind, Uruk is what became known as Chaldea. That's where Abraham came from in the scriptures. Insen and Eridu, that's home away from home. Enlil set up a democracy from the French Democrate, from the Latin Democratia, from the Greek Democratia, Ocratia, Demos meaning people, and the government was set up as their original home on the planet Risk was ruled, right? So he kind of came down here and set up another government, just like he was doing on Risk. Enki set up a republic, right? You kind of seem like whatever Enlil did, Enki did the opposite and vice versa, right? Enki set up a republic from the French Republique, from the old French Latin Republicia, res, ding, publicia, feminine, a publicus, meaning of the people, to repopulate the planet Earth. So Enki had ambition to repopulate the Earth, because the Earth was still healing from all that cataclysmic event millions, billions of years ago. 183, he told the Anunnaki that he would bring their families back together so they could rule the planet. Thus they had the administrators and the workers. So Enki was gassing them up like, yo, we're gonna get your family down here. We down here buying this gold, it's messed up. We got these cities. We gonna bring y'all family down here. I know y'all miss y'all family. Enki was that dude, he was that talker, right? 184, the people of Enlil wore nose rings in their right nostril. And the people of Enki wore gold earrings in their right ear. However, the ruler of the groups wore both the nose rings and the earrings in their left ear when there was peace and happiness. The women wore it in both the nose and both the ears. This was passed down from generation to generation. So this is when Enki started wearing the gold. Then when Enlil got down here, his people started rocking some gold, right? So it's kind of giving you that context that Enki started this thing, and then when Enlil came down here, his people were like, we gonna wear gold too. It was that type of situation. 188, this created 2 castes, 4 groups of people that were to work the actual mines called laborers, and 3 groups that were to work the laboratory, processing all these minerals, logging and charting and managing. So right here in verse 188, you start to see the white collar workers being created, and you start to see the blue collar workers being created. Enlil was the administrator over these white collars, right? And then of course Enki was supposed to be the ones over these blue collar workers. So this created like some unrest, right? 189. So in time, after many years of living on the planet Key, many problems arose. You damn right? You got some of them working the mines, getting dusty every day. And then you got some of them in the lab coats and the AC in the lab. That's gonna create some problems, family. 190, a revolt was starting in the lower mines amongst the lower class of Anunnaki, and it was bothering the higher class. Wow, they bothered by it because they know they don't want to get their asses out there in the mines. No disrespect. The Anunnaki were complaining that the work was too hard and tiresome, right? Of course. So tablet 2, the revolt, we're gonna go into that, the next section of the Holy Tablets, but I just want to give a discussion for the next few minutes about, the brother had mentioned it earlier, he's starting to see a lot of us and a lot of them, and vice versa. This is how this war started breaking out amongst the brothers, man. They were both managing 2 different groups, and they kind of pushed them into 2 different societies, an upper class and a lower class, right? Because keep in mind, before they came here, you didn't really hear no upper and lower class on Rish. This upper and lower class started when they said, y'all stay on the ship and y'all go down to Earth and mine the gold. Then they came down to Earth and said, y'all work in the lab and then y'all work in the mines. So they started breaking these Anunnaki down further and further and further, and this created that unrest.
Like he's a Yai, and that's a way. He's a way. Yahweh.
Yeah, that's it. Now, in today's terminology, oh man, he rich, he's a baller. You just work in such and such, such and such.
He works in the absolute, the gold mine. He's a digger. He works in the trenches. I'm over there with the royal palace. At the royal,
Yep, that's true. But y'all gotta understand too.
We got our nature from there, so we should understand where we got our.
This is us.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's just that we got it all mixed up with the disagreeable aspect as well. So it's kind of like we kind of taint that godly nature within us by succumbing to the physical, the mammalian and the beastly type of nature, and the reptilian aspect of our brains and stuff. So cool. But you see, guys get upset with each other, they get jealous over each other. Sounds like you, don't they get, they like gold. They like the bling blings. You follow that, so it's all good.
It's the same thing. We that kids.
It is. Yeah, it is, bro.
It was at our expense though. Always.
When we first started learning about these Anunnaki, this is in the early 90s when Doc was breaking it down. He started putting it in the scrolls in the early 90s. I used to read the stories and I'm like, oh man, these are Anunnaki. And then I read a little bit more. I'm like, oh man, these are Anunnaki. And now I read now, I'm like, damn, these Anunnaki. It's like the older I get, it's like they become so real. It's like the spookiness of them being quote unquote supreme beings, deities, and gods. That's just names, family. That's just titles and positions. Like at your job, you got a director, you got a CEO, you got a supervisor. They just titles, man, because you start looking at the actions of these beings and they very human. They very human, man. So it's like when people always say, oh, they don't exist, man, they on the wall. These regular people, man. They just more advanced than us. They taller than us, and they found the cure for death. It sounds spooky, but when you think about it, if we found the cure for death, we would be doing a lot more BS throughout the universe than what we can do right now on Earth. So that's why I say
state of mind that we are in right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's imperative right now that we change our state of mind before we get access to something like that. So kind of puts things in context, family. We down here, we learn it. And in retrospect, we're really trying to become better than them. And that's where another form of the jealousy comes from with some of those beings as it relates to the evolution of human beings. Don't let them do this, the Tower of Babel. Don't let them come together. Now, that type of concept. So some Anunnaki, they don't want us to evolve because they in fear that we might evolve past them.
Think about that one, though, in Genesis, right? Let us go down there and confound their language. Scheming, right? Think about that. Did that particular God over there get caught feelings or got jealous of creation of man, what man was able to do of his own creation? That's some interesting stuff right there to think about.
Go stop them.
Go stop them. Of course, that was Enlil, but
exactly.
That was Yahweh.
Now when we start rereading that Bible, we start to see the characters come into play. Who's Enki, who's Enlil, who's this, who's that, and you start to see the why they say what they say in the Bible versus the what. Who told you was naked? First of all, why is this dude asking this dude a question? He's the creation God. He's the creator of all. He's not. He's asking this dude a question. He don't even know.
Right. What the hell is naked? What if that reply would have been like that? Like, what the hell is that? You just talked.
Right. That's real. That's real talk. And that was Kakael the picture that we just saw, Kakael, that was him talking. Hey, who told you about this? You know? So in retrospect, these beings are very human, family. They get missions, they got jobs, they complain. You know what I'm saying? It's a very realistic situation.
Mistake.
They make plenty of mistakes.
Hey, God said I'm a jealous God and a man of war. A man of war, you call yourself man? Interesting. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep, takes that deity situation out. Even with, even in the tabernacle, how we see Anu. That's a real being. That's a guy, man. This man got kids, man. And so this man had baby mama drama. I'm saying this is real stuff. So this kind of puts things in context, not to degrade it or disrespect it, but to make it real to you, family. So we're going to end that session on that. There are no more questions or comments or any concerns, family. Hopefully everybody can, take this discussion and take something from it. And it's kind of designed to make the Anunnaki real and not mystified. You know what I mean?
Cool. I have something to say. Me being a Bible person, at first I would have took it as like you're degrading my Bible. But now that I know this knowledge, it's like, say whatever you want. Say, I agree with you. Mm-hmm. I have a total different perspective about the Bible now that I did when I first started listening to you guys. And it's like, wow. So every time I get on here, a lot of times I like to be quiet because I don't want to, how you say it, say something stupid, I guess you could say. But it's like, hold on, you're opening up my third eye more and more and more and more and more. So thank you. I do appreciate you guys for that. Cool.
You're very welcome. All right. Yeah. I want to add something on it. You just sparked something, sis, before we go. Man, I like talking about that scripture because the old man, Dr. York, said, man, bring your tools, man. Keep using it. I'm using it. I got it. So I'm like, okay. And when you said that, I always think about the Jesus conception story and how they always taught us that he was immaculate conception. That was Gabriel coming down. You start reading that Bible when Gabriel comes down to Mary. It's like they go in a room and they come out and she's pregnant. And I always used to tell my mom, I said, Mom, I thought you said 2 + 2 was 4. It is. I said, well, Mama, she met this angel that was a dual angel, and they went into this room, and she come out the room, and she got a child.
She came out her.
Exactly. So it made the angels real to me even as a kid, So it's just adding more context to it, family. Damn, definitely appreciate that, sis. Thank you so much for that. So thank you, bro, for just coming in like the way you did, man. Thank everybody for tuning in this evening. We're going to continue this on the next session. This is the Holy Tablets, the House of Who. Right now, we're going to get our good brother Neb to take us out with the all affirmation and the prayer of the Aiders. Who are family?
Abdul Kud Bazum Tapper the Tap, Madana Bet Mahu Hadus Aishu Unukal, Anuki Fiana Aishu Shukalu Okula Shukaluni, Na Atakuna Fikalu, Anuki Ferragun Shukalu, Wakalu Kalu Ferragun Shuni, Anuki Wahid Kakalu, Wakalu Kalu Wahid Man, Nuk Aiki, and you, Kama Ferragun Shukalu, a Hub Kama Feidu, Nuk Aikilu, Aquenu, Kodik Nuka Fizu Fikalu, Kama Tawu Kama Kapazi Kalunia Amidu Fikalu, Anuki Kabahawa Hood. Kalu Kalu Nanuki, Kalu Yaku, Nukaki, Kalu Bamu, Nukamidu. Begin all prayers, thank you, and deeds of who divine love and all. I am in the love of all love is me. We are all in all. I am a part of all, and all is a part of me. I am one with all, and all is one with me. I could succeed as a part of all and fail as an individual. I can be all I wish and all as long as my wish is to stay in all. I am never alone. All is I am. All can I can. All does I do. Begin all prayers to thank you by using divine love in all. Prayer of the ages, propagators of peace. O Heavenly One, the Most High, who is the sustainer of all the worlds, we do accept the duty of laying on us to clean up the filth made by the disagreeable ones and their hosts, the non-submitting fools. O my sustainer, we beseech you to keep your hand over us to control the strings of the courses of our lives. Our sustainer, and if we do wrong, please show thy divine blessings and forgiveness on us. You are the only one that can rise as true father to the news bearers, and in thy name we carry on an anthem for all who are
Cool. Town fan. Go ahead, everybody, for showing up. I would have Brother Chris Love, another banger.
Thank you, brother. Hamdo.
Editor's nightmare, though. Other stuff that was going on. But all right, y'all. The real shot. What I do?
The real shot. What I do, brother?
Keep holding on to the rope. Tower ahead, you, Ring.
Cool, man.
Cool, man. Absolutely. What I do?